Probably giblet gravy. That was a treat. That was intense. The giblets are like, it's like the heart and like basically everything that you throw away in the turkey, they chop up and put in the gravy. So it's like, I don't know. I'll pass. I had a mission companion once that lit a mattress on fire and threw it in the dumpster. That was horrifying. I thought I was going to get sent home, but nobody found out about that, and I don't know why I just told you that. But aside from that, one time we were tracting on this highway, we were knocking doors and we were biking, and we were going up to this house, and I kind of this weird feeling, I'm like, but I just kind of didn't really think much of it. And this guy comes out and he just unleashes. He's like, "You get out of my yard." He's like, "I'll count to," he's like, and he's like he said he was going to start counting or else I don't know if he was drunk. He could have been drunk, but he used a few choice words, threatened to basically put a bunch of buckshot up a specific part of our body if we weren't careful, if we didn't leave that right away. So I'm like, okay. I didn't run off, but we just kind of walked to our bikes, just kind of nonchalant, just like, this guy, I don't know. And we tried to just kind of be boss status and walk away, but you know how that goes. When you're threatened with your life, it's kind of, there's part of you that's just like, okay, well. But that was pretty intense. That was in Bastrop, Louisiana. That was a backwards place, but I love it. We had like a mini tropical storm come through, and it was kind of like right at the edge of it. And my companion and I, it was a car share area. My companion and I were biking, and it was like starting to rain. I'm like, and my companion, he was like, YOLO adventure kind of thing. I'm like, but let's like call someone, see if we can get a ride. But he's like, no, let's bike. We're just like probably a mile and a half, 2 miles. We're a couple miles away from our apartment, and it starts just pouring. Like, the thing about southern rainstorms, like, you think it's pouring here, like pouring here is like a normal rainstorm in the south. It's just because the humidity is everything. And this was even intense for the south. It was wild, just pouring, and we were on our bikes. People would be driving by taking pictures. Like, we were biking down the road, and there was like, you know, an inch or two of water, just standing water on the road, and these cars are just kind of going slowly by, and this water's just, we're just soaked. Which I had my rain poncho, I think, and it kept my backpack, my scriptures all dry and everything. But like, it was definitely one of those times where you get home and shower, because it was just too wet to do anything else. So I mean, you went back out after it stopped raining, but when you don't have a car, you really have to be creative with your finding experiences and finding tools and things. But that was definitely probably the most intense weather. That, and then there's always the hot where I was soaking wet on my bike because of sweat. Like, I think the only places that weren't soaked were the spots where my antiperspirant really worked in my armpits. But even then, I think literally every inch of my shirt, and even pants for that matter, were soaked. Sweat. It was, so you got both extremes there. It was intense. It's definitely southern weather. I had a big thick coat, and I only wore it a few times. Like, it's effective in the winter, but it's probably one of those things that you really only need for like a couple months out of the year, and even then it doesn't need to be huge. But it's the thing about the winters in the south is because it's so humid that everything just cuts through you. So it seems like no matter what you wear, it's going to be freezing. That's why I think I had a thick coat, and it really worked. In the summer, what benefited me is having extra garments, just because it's so sweaty that you just go through them like crazy. Like, whether it's like you just sweat through them, you have to change partway through the day, or it's nice to have extra garments and just extra shirts, because you sweat a lot. And a little like handkerchiefs or like some rags or something, so you can like go with you tracting and stuff and wipe the sweat off your face. Those are beneficial. Short sleeve shirts, well, that's what we wore pretty much all the time. It depends on your mission president what he says, but we wore short sleeve shirts pretty much the entire time. I mean, it wasn't even a requirement to wear long sleeve shirts anytime, or even the only time you wore suits was at meetings. But like I said, it depends on who your mission president is. Yeah, I mean, extra garments, that's my advice. Make sure your mom sends you with that, or moms, make sure you send, if your missionary's out now, send it to him or her, because they'll appreciate it. Let's see, life skill, I mean, definitely communicating with people, communicating with companions and like relationships and different things. That was one thing that I really learned. Like if I've got a situation or a problem, like I learned that especially with companions that I had a hard time with. Just being like, just approaching them and being like, okay, let's work through this. Like, let's figure something out. And it was something really that I understood and came to know as a really life skill. A random skill, I don't know. I mean, I had ghost pepper hot sauce once. That was definitely one of the most intense moments as far as food is concerned. Just one little dot on a Ritz cracker, I thought I was about to cry. But as far as skills go, communication, that is probably one of the most important things you can do on your mission and learn on your mission. It benefits you in every aspect otherwise, in your job, relationships especially, first and foremost, and just generally, because communication is the most important skill you can, in my opinion, the most important skill you can learn in life. There were those times where you'd be in a lesson. It happened a few times. There'd be those times you're sitting in a lesson and the spirit is like tangible, and you just talk about Joseph Smith, the restoration. You just watch a DVD about the restoration. You're bearing testimony of the Book of Mormon, which is one of the most important things you can do, and of Joseph Smith and of prophets and of the Savior, and the spirit is just palpable in the room. You're all in tears. You're all just sitting there. You and your companion are just in silence, just waiting for this person to respond. Because that's what the Spirit's telling you to do. And I mean, there's experiences like that all the time. Not all the time, but I mean, those are the kind of things that make the mission great. And like I said, there are a few specifics, but there's so many miracles that you experience and so many spiritual experiences that it's hard to even just like pick one, or even pick a favorite, or just even pick a random one for that matter. It's just because there's so many that just make a huge impact on you. And if you can just remember those and move forward with those and use that to strengthen your testimony and increase your capacity for more faith and more miracles, then you're set.